Shout out to Ring RQ, Julius, you legend. We're going to do a joint interview, yeah? Yeah, we'll do a joint interview, Julius. Thanks for the support. You're a legend. From your girls, Raven and Ellie.
Welcome to the motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news. Ow!
Okay, we'll start with this. Recently announced as part of the undercard for Baumgartner versus Elif Nur Turan, Tiaria Brown will be defending her green and gold title against former undisputed super bantamweight champion Ellie Scotney. And what I believe will be Tiaria's second ring appearance as an MVP fighter. Since joining the promotion, I believe that she defended the belt not that long ago, and now she'll be defending it again against the worthier adversary. It's important to note that, few differences aside, it's not a foregone conclusion that Ellie Scotney wins, even though she's about 10 years younger, fresher, and a decorated fighter herself. There is that which needs to be addressed.
Yeah, Tiaria Brown is 38, whereas Ellie Scotney is 28, but Tiaria is also noticeably taller than Ellie Scotney, and longer. You could definitely argue stronger because she is a naturally bigger woman. She's actually campaigned heavier than just 126 the night of. She's gonna be the bigger, heavier woman. That's something that Ellie Scotney is going to have to deal with, where I'm not sure she's had to deal with that too much before. She was a moderately sized super bantamweight fighting other moderately sized super bantamweights, whereas now she's got to deal with a discrepancy in size.
And a discrepancy in power. If Tiaria Brown decides to press forward and apply pressure on her like she did for Sky Nicholson, could be a tough night at the office for the former undisputed champion. And those of you that have been with the channel long enough will know that I've always been very high on Ellie Scotney. I 100% believe she could become the inaugural super bantamweight undisputed champion, but now at Feather, things are gonna get rough.
Because if Tiara decides to put pressure on her, like what she put on Sky, that could make her very difficult to deal with and get away from. Her physical dimensions, her height, her length, that gives her very good ring coverage.
Covering a lot of ground in just a few steps for somebody who's noticeably taller like Ellie, and not being big on power, because Ellie's good at a lot of things, but she's not a knockout merchant. She wasn't one at 122. She's not going to be one now at 126.
Not a big woman.
I believe this puts Ellie Scotney in a situation where she has to engage Tiara Brown mid-range to inside in the pocket because she doesn't have the dimensions to fight her from the outside. She'd be a sitting duck on the outside as the smaller fighter. For the smaller fighter, the safest place is up on the opponent's chest.
Staying with them, staying close to them. But of course, at that proximity, it then becomes a question of who's better in the pocket, Ellie Scotney or Tiara Brown.
I think Tiara is a harder puncher than Ellie Scotney, but I think that Ellie, because she's fresher and younger and smaller, may have a speed advantage. Within close quarters, she may be able to put her punches together a little quicker than Tiara Brown, and that might make all the difference.
That coupled with her defensive prowess.
That might decide the outcome, but I find it very hard to imagine that Ellie can go in there with Tiara and have an easy night. That if she wins, I don't think she's gonna outclass her and blow her out like she has with some of the champions at 122. At 126, it really is an uphill battle. Perhaps the silver lining is that if she can make it past Tiara Brown, collecting the rest of the alphabet titles in this division may be relatively easy. This is the hardest assignment because Amanda Serrano, the unified champion at this weight, is set to retire very soon. Those two alphabet titles are set to go vacant, and the only other champion at this weight, Nina Menka, the IBF champion.
Oh, Ellie can beat her.
If she can prove that she's got what it takes to beat Tiara in November, I'm convinced that she can beat Nina Menka and most other girls at this weight afterwards. That's the silver lining, that she's starting off with perhaps the most difficult fight at 126, after which things could actually become easier.
Though understand, this is a unique situation for Ellie Scotney. You could have favored her to beat anyone and everyone in the super bantamweight division, whereas here, it is not a foregone conclusion that she wins. It's an uphill battle, and I expect this is going to be a fight.
And now it's time for another installment of what has fast become the most popular segment here on the channel, Ring IQ hate mail!
Jerry's back.
This time on an entirely different social media platform where he is also stalking my channel, stalking me, like he does here, to talk about the same fucking thing.
David? This guy doesn't get tired of talking about David Benavidez?
He doesn't do it enough on YouTube. He wants to do it on Twitter also, saying, you don't want the best fights, you want to complain. The good news is, IQ News gives you a platform to get it out of your system. See you at the fight, amigo.
He was talking to Drew when he said that. Tagged me to the post because he's got to mention me.
Though what have either Drew or myself been arguing in favor of, if not a Benavidez versus Opataya fight? What are you doing now, pretending that we're the ones who are against it?
And that you're the one who got what you wanted?
This fucking jackass continued. I'm afraid you have the wrong clown from the wrong circus, Mr. Ringleader. Again, David Benavidez and I both have never ever said that we don't want the Opataya fight. You can keep saying it over and over again, it still won't magically turn into a fact. Just another bubble-wrapped Ring IQ narrative.
I ain't in the business of manufacturing narratives. I'm in the business of forecasting outcomes.
I'm in the business of facts and stats, and the fact of the matter is, it was your boy who said that. He may not fight Jai Opataya for another 2 to 3 years because he doesn't have a belt anymore. While you're posting quotes and posting articles to clean up your version of the story, why did you leave that one out? Why do you deliberately disregard all the things from Team Benavidez as a unit? Like when his father said that Jai Opataya is a nobody with no marquee value as a reason for them not to fight.
Why do you disregard that David Benavidez cited Jai Opataya going to Zuffa as a reason for them not to fight?
As if Zuffa was an obstacle, when as it turns out, Zuffa's gonna be the one that pays for everything. Like I said!
Not the PBC, not David Benavidez.
Not that Zuffa was even always in the picture, because they weren't. Jai Opataya migrating to Zuffa is a fairly recent development, before he was even with them, when he still had the IBF title. David Benavidez's team was saying he's not a ticket seller, he's a nobody.
Not known in America. These are all direct quotes from David Benavidez's father, some from David Benavidez himself, and you want to act like none of it happened, and we're making all of this up to slander David. You want to act like you're the one who wanted this fight.
Ain't that about a bitch? He accepted every excuse they made not to do this thing in the near future, so he can turn around and act like he's the one that wanted to see this.
Oh, so you're the one who wanted them to fight, and I guess we're supposed to be the ones that didn't.
The guy's a fucking cartoon character. Not in a good way. Near as I can tell, as accepting as he's already been of Team Benavidez's reasons to forego the fight and delay it, he can't actually be happy that it's happening.
It's very obvious they've had a change of heart.
All of their previous statements, which I've cited to no end, quoting them verbatim, tell the story that they didn't want to do this thing in the near future if they ever wanted to do it at all.
The quote from David talking about Jai losing his belt pushes the fight back 2 to 3 years, that's from this year. That's from April.
And it's not that Jerry Soriano didn't see it. It's that he wants to act like it's not there so he can pretend that he's having a gotcha moment, that he finally proved me wrong about something when I said this was gonna happen too.
You got a low attention span or something? What did I say? That he's gonna leave the light heavyweight division in a short while, move up and fight Zerto Ramirez, and he's not gonna wanna fight Jai Opataya, but after a while, he's not gonna have a choice, because at cruiserweight, he doesn't have an abundance of alternatives, of options to not fighting Jai Opataya, that Jai represents the only real money in that division, because Zuffa is behind him.
And so sooner or later, David's not gonna have a choice but to fight him. Bite the bullet, were my words. Which you already heard, you're just acting like you didn't, so you can pretend that you're having a gotcha moment. At this point, what are you even arguing about? You're supposed to be happy that they're fighting, right? I know I am.
You should be celebrating.
You who believes that David hails the moon and the stars for pouncing on opponents, everybody picks him to beat. Myself included, except this time, that's not the case. Because I don't think he beats Jai Opataya. I never have. And you know that.
And you're not actually happy that they're fighting. That's not what you're doing here. What you're doing is pouting.
You were ready to accept whatever reason they gave to put this fight off, to delay it. That's what you've been doing for weeks and months. that you can't actually be happy now that they are fighting, not knowing what my track record is.
Yeah, I think Jai beats him. Pretty confident he beats him.
Been consistent with that like I've been consistent with everything else, which I think Jerry finds unsettling, which is why he keeps coming back here, hoping that perhaps my tune will change or something will happen that tips the scales in David's favor.
David, who said that because Jai was stripped of the IBF title, that fight has been pushed back another 2 to 3 years. So what changed between now and then? Because Jai doesn't have a title.
Between April and now, it's not like he got one, and from now until May, that's not 2 to 3 years like David originally said, so what changed? Because he clearly changed his stance.
Well, after trying to freeze Jai Opataya out with Noel Mikhailian and ending up with Mikhail Cieslak instead, that didn't help the situation, or the realization that you can't freeze this guy out because you ain't the money. There's not more money behind you in your abysmal pay-per-views than there is behind him over there at Zuffa. And if you have any aspirations of making real money in this division, because you still haven't, you have to fight him.
You already conspired with the WBC to poach his opponent from him after finding out that Jai was in negotiations to fight Noel for his belt. You even got the WBC to play ball, but what they can't do for you is put any money in your pocket.
It's not my imagination that David Benavidez was in pursuit of alternatives to a Jai Opataya fight, just like it's not my imagination all the things they've said up until this point, so that them fighting him in May,
you guys obviously changed your minds. Now this fight is a priority, where before, Jai was a nobody who doesn't sell and doesn't have a belt, and you probably won't fight him for another 2 to 3 years. These are all things they said, but Jerry would have you believe that I'm making it all up.
I'm just slandering David and making narratives against him.
He said your hate is distorting your boxing ring IQ. Opataya is tailor-made for Benavidez, will engage in a firefight, runs out of gas, and hates body shots.
David throws body shots? When has he ever stopped somebody with a body shot?
Near as I can tell, David is more of a headhunter than a body puncher.
Wait a minute. Why is this guy, who's supposed to be oh so confident that David Benavidez wins, arguing about his prediction?
Saying David Benavidez is going to cut him real nice, just like you said, Spence and Crawford, all over again.
Yeah, and I picked Terrence Crawford to annihilate Errol Spence. What does that have to do with David?
Not a lot. This idiot is just looking for things to say, grasping at straws for a retort, because only one of us is getting what they want here. Only one of us was advocating for this fight.
And it wasn't him. He was ready to accept any excuse they gave him to delay the fight.
Now he wants to act like he's the one that wanted this.
What the fuck is wrong with him?
It's nerves. He's nervous. Now that David is actually fighting someone who he doesn't have a size advantage over, and someone he has no prior experience with like Zerto, now that he's fighting someone that I specifically think will beat him, Jerry doesn't know how to handle it. He can't deal.
What are you trying to convince yourself of? And other people? That I'm sad he's fighting Jai Opataya? That I'm mad?
Is it that? Or is it that you're nervous? Because you didn't think this would happen, and we know this isn't what you wanted.
You were ready to accept whatever excuse they gave you not to fight that guy. But now you want to see it. Yeah, right.
Just in keeping with the theme of all things Zuffa Boxing, who are likely going to be promoting Benavidez versus Opataya, Lou Dibella says Zuffa will seize U.S. boxing immediately. Lou Dibella expects TKO and Zuffa Boxing to take control of the American boxing market almost immediately. The Hall of Fame promoter believes Paramount gives Dana White and Nick Khan a broadcasting advantage that none of the established companies can match. I expect them to particularly dominate in the US almost immediately, Dibella said on Brian Custer's channel. They have the best TV deals. No one else has them. Although Dibella does not welcome the possibility of boxing operating under a UFC-style system, he refuses to defend the promoters and sanctioning bodies responsible for the sport's existing structure. In his purview, they left the opening that Zuffa is preparing to exploit.
Because he didn't Lou Dibella was just as much a part of that system, a part of the problem, as every promoter that he now seeks to criticize the sanctioning bodies.
It was only recently that he bowed out from promoting boxing matches, and I don't even think that was by choice, so much as he didn't have a network behind him.
He relied on the same promoters that he was now criticizing to keep his own fighters active. Maybe that's why he has so much rancor towards them. The established companies had decades to reduce the number of titles, arrange the leading fights, and develop boxers into recognizable stars. Instead, promoters protected their champions as financial assets, while the sanctioning bodies produced regular, interim, and super titles. Becoming a champion consequently lost much of its value. Dibella argued that the average title holder can walk through Times Square during rush hour without being recognized. We opened the door for Jake Paul. We opened the door for Turki El Sheikh. We opened the door for Zuffa and TKO. We opened the door for Dana and Nick. Anyone saying we didn't open that door is a liar. Zuffa Boxing also has a clearer route to casual American viewers. Paramount already owns a large entertainment platform, while DAZN remains known primarily among dedicated boxing followers in the United States. Hearn received particularly harsh criticism for his attempt to conquer the American market. Dibella described him as an ineffective self-promoter who can make individual events feel important, but said the return to Britain with his tail between his legs.
What do you mean he returned to Britain? He's still doing shows in the United States, more than you.
His failure leaves Matchroom Queensbury top rank and the PBC facing a company with a stronger US television position and a centralized business model. British promoters have the best chance of remaining powerful because the UK is boxing's strongest national market. Dibella believes, but he sees no traditional promotional company equipped to stop Zuffa in America.
The risk is that Zuffa replaces boxing's fragmented system with a near monopoly that controls fighters, championships, and matchmaking. Dibella dislikes that outcome, yet his larger argument is difficult to dismiss. The old guard had control of boxing and gave Zuffa every reason to believe it can run the business better.
I believe that for Lou Dibella, this is tantamount to revenge porn. It's not just an outcome that he forecasts, but underneath the skin, it's an outcome that he wants. To get back at all the people that he had to go through to keep his fighters active while they just considered him a glorified middleman, a guy with contracts on fighters but no network to back them.
Does that mean that he's wrong, though? Or is he right when he says that Zuffa Boxing is poised to take over the US market? That depends. That depends on how long Turki El Sheikh is willing to bankroll their biggest acquisitions, because just doing Shane Mosley fights and Richardson Hitchens fights, Edgar Berlanga fights, you're not going to take over boxing with them.
The biggest ripples they've made have been bankrolled by Turki El Sheikh, so the question then is, how long do you think Turki is going to keep overpaying to put these fights on? Garcia versus Ben.
That is, do you think he's going to keep kicking out all that cash forever? Because nothing lasts forever.
From where I'm sitting, Zuffa is codependent on the work that other promoters have put in to build up their fighters, to then try to poach them and use them. But that strategy...
It's not a long-term strategy. At some point, you're going to need to build up your own fighters instead of relying on somebody else's. There's only so many of them you can buy out.
Zuffa Boxing carving out a lane for themselves and succeeding, and them taking over the US market, are mutually exclusive.
That they don't need to monopolize all of boxing to be successful.